Hello everyone, it's Michelle. Welcome to the July episode of Tea with Me. I am so glad you're here. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy this little show that I put together every single month to talk about vintage papercraft and recommend different products or things I've seen along my papercraft journey. If you are a subscriber or a regular viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it so very much. So it's July, the end of July, and I have some, I think, interesting things for you today. So first off, I always start tea with me with the tea I'm drinking. I am actually drinking a dandelion tea, and I don't have the tea bag or anything here because it's sort of like this naturalist tea that I buy. And I'm going to be honest, the tea bags are lousy. And whenever I squeeze them, they break into the tea, and then I have to sieve the tea out, and you can still see I have a little bit. Even though I did it, I still have some floating around. Dandelion is really good for detoxing and supporting your liver. So I am, it's summer, maybe eating and drinking a little things I shouldn't all the time. So I figure a nice little detox tea can't hurt. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to be talking about some inspiration that you can get from nature and inspiration that you can get in other places. So I guess the theme, even though I didn't really think there was a theme to this month's show, would be inspiration. Where do you get your inspiration? Well, like you, when I began this journey, I got a lot of inspiration from YouTube channels like this one. I watched a lot of YouTube videos and tutorials, and the content is very good and a great place to get inspiration. But as I traveled down the road and want to develop my techniques, I started taking classes more, and some of them have been in person and some of them have been online. And I just thought I would talk a little bit about what the value of that is, because really, with all the free content out there, what would be the purpose of ever paying for a class, correct? Well, the purpose is that a lot of times you get to take a class with an established artist who has been doing this for a lot longer than you have, who has a broad range of techniques that maybe you can add to your toolbox. And also, usually it comes with a community, some kind of a community, either an online community or the community of the people that you take the class with. And that community can be so incredibly uplifting and inspiring. And it's also really interesting when you're all working on the same project and you end up with different outcomes. You end up realizing all the different ways people look at the project. It gets you to look outside the box and maybe makes you do things you wouldn't normally do. So first I'm going to talk with free inspiration. So Tracie Fox, as you know, she's a wonderful YouTuber and she does a lot of tutorials. And maybe junk journaling isn't your style. Maybe you're more of a mixed media person. Well, she's really kind of branched off into mixed media lately. And one of the things she does is she has a Facebook group, a very active Facebook group. And every month she has a challenge. And that challenge allows you to step outside your comfort zone. And she usually provides templates or a digital kit to go with it for free. And then a certain amount of time, 2 weeks or so, to make the project. Well, this month it's funky houses, and they were just some templates for houses, just shapes, and you make tags or whatever you want. So this is what I ended up making. I ended up making this wall hanging, and it is my interpretation of the funky house project, and I have buttons on it and some notions. I sewed together some remnants of cloth, muslin, some canvas, some lace, and then I found a piece of driftwood, cut some holes, and it came out pretty cute, I think. Now, This isn't my typical style, and I honestly don't even know if I will hang it up. But it was such a great thing for me to try something that I normally wouldn't do to make me think outside my normal standard box. And, it took a few hours. It took some planning. But, it was really fun to do something different. And I can gift this or maybe send it in a random act of kindness or something if it's not something I want to hang. But the experience was very valuable to me. It's also valuable to then go on her YouTube, not her YouTube, her group is called the Foxy Crafters, to go on the event page for this and see how everybody else interpreted the funky houses. And it really makes you think, oh, I never even thought of that. And you're actually seeing the same templates that you were given to use, but everybody else's interpretation. It's a really valuable way to grow and get inspired and get ideas and think about the things that maybe wouldn't have even occurred to you. So my first recommendation, like what I'm talking about, would be to check out Tracie Fox's Facebook group called the Foxy Crafters. If you are looking for a community of like-minded junk journalists and mixed media people who are constantly, and you want to do like a monthly challenge. I will say Artie Mays also has a great group, and I think she's started monthly challenges as well. And then we're going to talk about this. This is actually, if you follow me on Instagram, this is now my my journal that resulted from my door collage falling. So what that's all about is another class I took. Now this is paid, but I will definitely tell you, worth it. It was a class in January. I had made a commitment to myself to take some classes this year. And Jeanne Oliver has a website where she has the most inspirational classes, everything from mixed media to watercolor, jewelry making, journaling, bookmaking, you name it. It's just a fabulous place to look for other artists that are offering classes. They're very affordable, and she has 250% off sales twice a year. And I took advantage of that to take a bunch of classes, and then she always has early registration pricing, which is a lot cheaper than when the class is going to be run. And her class at the beginning of 2021 was called Gather, and it was all about making these collage boards, or picture a mood board, a vision board, an inspiration board, kind of all collected together. And then you decide on the substrate and you make it more of a piece of art, probably not permanent. It captures a picture of time for you to gather your thoughts on what it is you're thinking about the subject of that collage board. And we did several in her class, and one of them was about work. So I wanted to sort of curate, where am I at? What are the colors I'm getting attracted to? What is the feel that I want my work to feel like? And I wanted to hang it in my workshop. So I have a white door, and I just started using artist's tape and collaging my door. And this is what it ended up looking like. So that has been sitting there for 6 months, inspiring me, reminding me where I want to go, the types of textures, the types of colors, the types of feeling I want to create in a lot of my work. And I went away for a work weekend this month, and when I came back, half of it was on the floor. Now, I'm not sure why. Maybe there was some humidity, maybe a drop, maybe there was a lot of humidity and then a drop in the humidity. Maybe the air conditioning went too long. I don't know. But whatever it is, it all fell. And I was just not in a place where I was like, oh, I can't put this back together. And then I thought, why do I have to? I have this beautiful leather journal that my cousin Sue made. And she has her own studio, brown bag in string. I always say it wrong because it's very similar to mine. I must have subconsciously, when I said tape and twine, must have been influenced by her because she's brown bag and string. But anyway, she makes beautiful, beautiful, beautiful leather journals. And I had been saving this one for some purpose, wasn't sure what. And then I thought, this is it. I'm going to take down my collage and put it in this book. Now, I'm going to now make this book my inspiration book so that when I need to center myself and remind myself, what are the colors, what are the textures, what am I working towards, I can flip through this book. This book took me less than 2 hours to put together. Now, partly because the journal was done, which is a total cheat, right? But also because my purpose wasn't to journal in it or to make like tuck spots or any of that. I had this giant door collage, and there were I kept being drawn to little parts of that collage. And I think that's what's so valuable about an inspiration board, is just this little tiny area that maybe when it works together, there's something that's speaking to you. So I took those pieces that were working for me and I put them in here. So I'm just going to quickly show you like what it looks like. So I had these scissors hanging and this textile hanging, but what you're going to see is the little vignettes, the little pieces of that collage that was on my wall that I just loved how they worked together. And I put them in this book so that I can flip through and get the sense of, what did I love about that? What did I love about that mark in this black? You know, it was also very, trying to highlight what it is that I loved. And interestingly enough, this I did last year. This had been a part of the collage. It's a mushroom spore print. And again, this was supposed to influence this year's work, and that's where this came from, reminding me, don't forget spores, work through that more. So it's really about isolating things that you loved about it and isolating what is it that you want to feel moving forward. What is it that you want to incorporate into your work? And I just loved her. I love these words. And I don't know what this will inspire me to do moving forward, but this is essentially my door collage in book form. And it's very easy for me. Like, I love this frame around this little graphic, and then this really old envelope that's got this color and the way it looks. That's going to influence something down the line. So that's really what I ended up doing. I broke down my door, and my door is now white again. These colors are really speaking to me lately and influencing where I'm going. Again, a lot of reds, which was a real surprise to me when I made my door, were all these blacks and reds and oranges. Really surprising collections. And insects. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I'm going somewhere. And anyway, it's very tactile. I can open it up. I can feel the pieces and the parts. And I just love it. And again, it took me no time to fill this book. I removed some pages because if you look, it's very chunky. And now I keep this out. First of all, I love the way it looks. I love the chunkiness of it. I love the things sticking out of it. And I can open this anytime I want to get inspiration and to try to remind myself the direction I'm going. So again, classes, this class inspired so much of what I'm doing this year. I think this class cost me less than $30. The amount of content in it was amazing, and the community, to see how other people interpreted their vision boards, their inspiration boards, where they were going with it. I was so inspired and met so many very interesting people from all over the world. Really opened my eyes, and I would definitely say, please check out Jeanne's classes. They're excellent. So moving on, I wanted to show you my mushroom spore book really quickly. If you saw the video already, we've been having a really, really rainy summer, which means a lot of mushrooms. And we've been in a terrible drought for a couple years now. So they've been really not, there hasn't been a lot around. So I took the opportunity to gather some and make spore prints, and then just make this little tiny journal by making the spore prints and then digitizing them, and then just sort of blowing up little parts of them, and, you know, just highlighting the colors that were inside of them. I added little bits of ephemera, and I think what this is going to be is sort of a naturalist journal where I might put nature quotes in. These are all spore prints, and it was so much fun to make it. You can check out my video if you want to learn how. But again, I'm not sure if I would have remembered that this was something I really wanted to work towards, bringing that nature piece in, had I not been working on that journal I just showed you when I was the collage fell. So it's really interesting how work builds on work, and you know, it's all about growing and being inspired and putting yourself out of your comfort zone. So this is what my little spore album looked like. Again, this took me only a couple hours to make. It was so much fun to digitize the spore prints, and it's a super fun little project. So as you can see, I am moving, my work is moving in a direction based on these classes and being more aware of, you know, the things that I had put forth to myself this year. Which then moves me forward to my next piece. So usually at this point I do recommendations, and I had a couple books that I was going to pull out, and then my mail came, and the two pieces of mail that came are two things that I need to bring up because they're so, to me, they're two of my favorite craft supplies that come free to me in the mail. So these, I try not to get catalogs. I don't like all the waste of paper, but there's still a few choice ones that I do enjoy getting. And I'm going to tell you a couple about them. Now, these are United States only, but maybe your country has something similar. So the first one is Natural Life, which they make, you know, sort of bohemian, cute little gifts and clothes and stuff like that. Why do I love this? Well, again, now I'm going to go back to my classes again. And this is where I'm noticing now my classes are really influencing me. I took another class this year by Colleen Atara, who I was lucky enough to go to a workshop at her studio a couple falls ago, which was literally one of the most special weekends of my life. If anybody can, look her up. If you are a mixed media person, if you're a paper person, if you're a book person, I cannot tell you how life-changing her and soul-filling her workshops are. But anyway, I took another little class with her online this year, where the class I took in person is now an online class, which was so beneficial to me to review all of that. And one of the things that she taught us to do was to take a small, like, you know, just a little not one of these big catalogs, but just these small ones, and then rip it. Like rip it, jaggedly rip it. And then take that spine as your, essentially the structure of your book, and build on each page and make it into whatever it is you want. And that's what I did recently with a different catalog. It was a closed catalog. It was the same size as this, about the same pages. I just ripped it down and I made it into my summer meditation journal, which if you're on Instagram, you will see some of the things I write. And all that I did was build onto the structure of that catalog. And why this is so wonderful is because, first of all, that's free. And second of all, the size is so non-intimidating. You can make the base of this, sewing on and gluing on, just whatever your substrate is that you're adding to the spine that you've just ripped, and just keep building on it. And it is so fun and freeing, and one of my new favorite things to do. And look at it, it's all jagged. The pages don't line up. You know, it's all different like textures and colors, and I can kind of be crazy in this and add whatever it is that I want to sew in it and stick things in it and staple in it, and it's small and easy and light, and you can tuck it in a bag. And this came from something very similar to this. And then the pages that you rip, when you rip that out, you have all these extra pages. Just, there's, in this particular one, there's so many textures and interesting colors and patterns going on. It'd be wonderful to punch like a hole reinforcer in there and just punch shapes, or the little reinforcers that you glue on tags. You could get some really colorful, beautiful ones from that. You could do tape transfers. There's so many little interesting things that you could pull from this to add texture to your mixed media. So I totally recommend this little Natural Life. They send you only a few, maybe 4 times a year, but really, I love the paper. It's matte, and there's some really cool things inside. And then I brought up this one once before, but I wanted to bring it up again today. It's called the Philatelic, which, the name is based on fidelity. Is that how you say it? Philately. I'm not that great of a pronouncer when it comes to that. But a philatelist is somebody who studies stamps, and philately, I think, is the study of stamps. Not so much stamp collectors, but people that go beyond that, and I think that's why it's named philatelic. And it's put on by my postal service, the United States Postal Service. So if you're not in the United States, this may be something that you have in your own country. Maybe they put out something. And how did I end up getting this? Well, I love beautiful stamps. I love sending out beautiful stamps to people, and once I ordered online stamps, because I don't know if you know this, but you can go online on the U.S. Postal Service and order really pretty stamps, all the collections of stamps, and have them delivered to your door for, I think, $2 is the delivery fee. And then once you do that once, you start getting this. And inside, it just shows all the new stamps that are coming down the line, which are always so cool and graphic. I love this. Look at Backyard Games. How fun is that? Little cornhole, anyone? And look at the Western ones coming. Really cool. So you get to see which ones are coming, and you can, then you can go online and order them. Look at those, how fun they are. But even if not, look at all the things you could fussy cut, all the great graphics that you could add. You could trim these out and add these to your collages without spending the money on, without wasting a stamp. You can use all of these, and there's really pretty stamps in here, and obviously the quality is exceptional, like the printing quality. So even if you scan stamps and printed them on your printer, they wouldn't be this quality. So there's so much material here to fussy cut and use in your own projects. I definitely say if you are in the United States, order some stamps online. Like right now, I'll probably go and order the backyard stamps and the Western stamps, and you'll end up getting this, which both are, I use all of this. Okay, I try to make these videos a half an hour, and I struggle because I can't help it, I talk a lot. But I wanted to bring up now one other project that I just did, and I just wanted to bring it to you because I think it's just so much fun, and it's a great scrap buster. It's a great way, something you can do with your kids, something that you can do if you don't have a lot of time. So what I used was one of these giant atlases. You can find these at, gosh, everywhere. There's nothing special about these. I use them for wrapping paper and all sorts of things. They're just, you can get them at book sales for a couple of bucks. But what I like is how big the paper is. So using that, I'll show you the materials. And oh, I didn't even tell you what the project was. It's paper beads. So using those big books that maybe you don't always know what to use, or just regular maps, using store flyers that come in the mail, grocery store flyers. These are excellent to use. So again, everybody has this. And then this is a great scrap buster for maybe scrapbook paper that you're really not using. I don't know why I have a lot of this. Well, I know I have this. I bought a paper pad, and everybody gets a paper pad where they are buying it for several of the designs, and then some of the paper they don't really like, and it just sits there. You know, I'm not much of a sparkly person, and this is like a sparkly one, so that wasn't really for me. And then I don't know why I have these either. Again, I think this was also in a paper pack, all these little butterflies, and then I had this in my stash, and I had this in my stash that again had some glitter on it. These are not my typical papers that I work with, not something that I normally would use, and to use these up is a wonderful thing. So between these and the geographic papers or maps, and then the news flyer, this is what you can make. So let me see if I can show you what I made from each one. So this paper, I made these beads, and I really love the colors, and I really love how there's just a little touch of sparkle in them, which I like as a bead, not so much on the paper, but as a bead, I really like them. I like the colors, and I think that they will blend well on a tassel or a project. So this was from this paper. Now this paper, I ended up making beads like this, which I'm going to end up showing you. Hold on, let me show you. I made this tassel, kind of a crazy colored tassel, but look at the beads. Now this is a double bead. I'll show you how to do that with that paper. And then let's see the beads, and they go great with this like little lime owl. It'd be really fun on a children's book. Really cool colors. All of these colors allow me to make a tassel that are full of these colors, and I think they look really fun on a journal tassel, all from that paper, which isn't really anything that special. Now this pink paper, I made some pink beads, and I just put a little bit of washi on them to give them a little bit extra. I could see them hanging with some lace. This one I put a little bit of book page behind it. And this one I have a little washi that has like a little bird on it. So really fun just to take something that was just very plain and make them into these pink beads. Now, I come to the geographic paper. These little map pieces come out so cool because there's so many little names and colors on them, and you never know how they're going to turn out. Look at that. I think that they're really, really neat. And look at this one. I made a barrel one, a cylinder one, and I found my initial on it. And I just put, oops, sorry. I just put a little bit of wax on each side, some gilding wax, just to make it sparkly. And I love how that looks. That will look terrific hanging off of some kind of embellishment. And now I'm looking for this. This is the kind that you would get from the flyer. So many different colors. It's kind of urban. Like I could definitely see this on a colorful mixed media or on a children's book. These were really fun. And last but not least, I took old book pages and I used the index of the geographic book to make word to make my favorite tassel, which I could see on an old book or journal. I love the coloring of it. And I basically, then I stuck a word on after it was made. And it looks so kind of vintagey and cool. I rubbed a little bit of gilding wax on it just to give it a little bit of shine. And I can mix it with these like dark, earthy colors and lace. And it would look beautiful hanging off of like a book like this, right? And would you ever know that these beads were just paper, just regular like book pages? And what's really cool is you might think that I inked that to get those edges dark, and I did not. I just took a lighter and singed the edges, and it came out so cool. I actually put another word on a different one. So this one is made from the map pages, this tassel. I used all the colors that were in the map, and then I made these beads. And this one says, tell your story. And I love how that came out. And then this is just a really simple one that I added a little bit of embellishment to. You can see the map pieces in it. And how fun is that tassel? This is made from the zigzag. Remember the zigzag paper? And you can see the shininess and some of the zigzag on it. It makes like this little sparkle, which I didn't like so much in the paper, but I like in the bead a lot. And again, it makes a really nice addition to a tassel with the same colors. So usually I don't do tutorials on tape and on the tea with me, and I'm not going to do one now because we're already running over, but I just wanted to give you a few hints about it. So basically there are a lot of videos online, and I watched a bunch when I first started doing this a few months ago, and you know, I got up all in my head because I'm really good at doing that, thinking things are a lot more complicated than what they actually are. And I even made tools to wind them, and oh, I just got carried away. You don't need to do that. You literally don't need anything but paper. And all you do is take a straight edge and an X-Acto knife, And basically what you're doing is you're cutting long, thin strips. I'm not going to cut them because I'm on my desk, but if you wanted to do a barrel bead like the one I showed you with my initial, you're just making a strip, straight strip down. If you want to make one of the regular beads, you're making basically, you're going to the tip, you're lining your ruler up, and then you're just making a long triangle. The thinner the triangle, the fatter and smaller the bead is. The longer it is, the longer the bead will be. And then if you want to get super fancy, if you start getting really, really like good at this, which will take you probably only a couple hours to get really, really good at this, you can do a fancy one. You can cut down into a triangle, then move your blade this way, cut that center out, and then move again to the triangle, and you'll end up with this shape. And that shape turns into the double barrel. So your three shapes would be a strip, which is the cylinder, these long pieces, which make the beads, these triangles, or this shape here, which is the double cylinder. And that's it. So you can get all up in your head like I did, or you can just do the few things you need. Glue stick, a dowel, some toothpicks, and Mod Podge. And that's all. And I thought you needed to really, the key is to make the bead really, really tight. And I thought the best way to do that would be to have a tool that would hold it really, really tight here. Or I also did gluing here, because some people will do that, but then it can get all gunky in here. Like, there was all these different ways I did it, and basically this is the way you do it. You just roll it, and I'm not even paying attention, I'm not even trying, I'm just rolling it. Then you slip it off, right? And then you pull it tight. That's when you can really pull it tight, and you don't even have to worry about the beginning. So then you can put it on again. Now that it's kind of rolled and it has a little bit of memory to it, go around just a few times, pull it out, pull it tight. You can slip this back in if it's easier for you. I honestly like to just hold it because I can keep pulling it tight. And look at, I haven't used any glue yet. And I just keep rolling it. And at a certain point, when it starts getting kind of thin, it can kind of not stay straight. At that point, if you want to take your glue stick and put a little glue down the middle, you can start doing that just to kind of start having it grab. And it's kind of harder to do this through a camera lens than when I'm doing it in front of my eyes. You're going to try to get that V in the center. And then you usually end up with this little tail. And that's, you definitely want to glue that. And that's it. That's your bead. You can't get any easier than that. So I'm just going to give you a couple little tips. Number one, don't overthink it. Number two, look at which side you have. Think about what colors you want the bead on. And if I roll this side, I'm going to know that I'm going to have a blue bead with some white in the middle, which is kind of cool. If I roll the other side, I'm going to have just a map bead, all white, which is maybe what you want, with all the words. So you have to choose the side you want first. So let's say we want to do the blue side. Somebody suggested that if you tape the top, and I found this to work really well, if you take two pieces and glue the top, you now have a double thickness, which will make a much thicker bead. So again, we're going to start it off. Look at, I'm not even trying. Now I'm going to pull it tight. And because there's two layers, you have to just kind of go slow to keep it centered. And I'm going to put some glue stick on there because I want it to hold, and I have to put some glue stick on the second side too because it's too rolling it, keeping it in the center. Now I'm down to the end of the tail. And how cool is that? And look at the so you can see the thickness and the thinness. This is one layer, this is two layers. And then honestly, this is all I used to singe my paper, and I just kind of put it on a skewer and kind of just, you know, singed the edges if I wanted that look of, you know, a little bit more vintage look. And then once you're done with that, you will just Mod Podge the outside. And that gives it a coating that seals in all these little layers, keeps them together, keeps everything nice and hard. And then once they dry, they are ready to go as beads. This one's a little bit more tricky to roll, but once you've got the hang of that one, again, you can just, I'm going to actually do the blue because I thought the blue was kind of cool. It's the same thing. I'm just putting it on to get it started, pulling it off, pulling it tight. And right here, I probably would glue, just because you're going to see this one's trickier because it's two. You're going to roll one side at a time. So you're going to want this nice and tight and glued at this point. And once it's glued, you can just roll the top one the same way that you were rolling the bottom, the other beads. I'm going to use that tail. And then you're gonna roll the top one. And again, I'm doing this through the lens of a camera, so it's not quite as tight as I would be doing it if I was up close, but you're gonna get the gist. Again, I would encourage you to watch. There's so many tutorials. I'm not making one just because, my gosh, there's so many. Am I going to make it any better than anybody else's tutorial? Probably not. And this wasn't my best effort on the double barrel because, again, I'm looking through a camera and I'm not up close, but you can see it's thick here and thick here. And I'm actually thinking one of the reasons why there isn't such a small waist in the middle is because when I cut my paper, I might have cut that V too shallow. But again, it's all about playing around. And the double barrel ones should look like this. So they have like a little waist in the center. So I spent maybe 2.5 hours yesterday listening to my audiobook, cutting paper, rolling it into beads, singeing it with a match, with my lighter, adding washi tape, and then making dangles. It's super fun. And all of this is free. We all have glue stick, a dowel, Mod Podge, and extra paper that we need to use up. I've gone over again. I can't help myself. I just have so much I want to share with you guys every month. I am so inspired by you all, by the people around me, by the classes I've taken, and there's just so many projects in so little time. So I hope that this episode gives you inspiration of a project to try, inspiration to maybe go check out some of these wonderful artists who offer classes, inspiration to maybe get on a mailing list for a really cool catalog that you can alter or use as material, and maybe inspiration to go collage your door. If I inspired you in any way, I hope that you will like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next month. Bye, everyone.